The Battle of Albert began on 25 September 1914, in what became misleadingly known as the Race to the Sea, during World War I. It followed the First Battle of the Aisne, as both sides moved northwards, trying to turn the northern flank of the opposing army. The Second Army under Castelnau began to assemble at Amiens in mid-September and was directed by General Joseph Joffre, the generalissimo of the French army, to attack near Albert. On 25 September, the Second Army advanced eastwards, but instead of advancing round an open northern flank, encountered the German Sixth Army attacking in the opposite direction, and which reached Bapaume on 26 September and Thiepval the next day. The Germans had intended to outflank the French and drive westward to the English Channel, seizing the industrial and agricultural regions of northern France and isolating Belgium. Neither side could decisively defeat their opponent, and the battle ended around 29 September, as both sides made another outflanking attempt to the north of Albert, at the Battle of Varus. Background: Battle of the Frontiers. On 18 August, General Albert de Marder formed a defense line from Maubeuge to Dunkirk, to prevent the disruption of railways by German cavalry raids. The Scarpa, Escaut and Rhonelle sluices were opened to extend the floods of the Scarpa, and the old forts of De Mulder, Flines, Courgis, Condé and Le Quesnoy around Valenciennes were reoccupied. On 20 August, de Marder formed a line of 3 territorial divisions de campagne, with the 84th Territorial Division from the Scarpa to the Sambre, the 82nd Territorial Division from the Sambre to the Lys, and the 81st Territorial Division from the Lys to the sea. When the BEF advanced to the west of Maubeuge, the 84th Territorial Division advanced to Condé and formed a new defensive line along the Scheldt from Condé to Mulder. On 23 August, the 88th Territorial Division arrived near Lille from Paris, with orders to recapture Tournai. The division was bombarded by heavy artillery, when close to Sissoing the next morning, and slowly retired to Tempelhoever and Arras. After the Battle of Charleroi and the Battle of Mons, Amiens became vulnerable to the advance of the First Army as it pursued the BEF and the Fifth Army. At 2 a.m. on 24 August, the siege of Maubeuge began, and the 84th Territorial Division fell back towards Cambrai and Marcoing. The rearguard was attacked near Fresnes, just south of Condé, and next day, the division was engaged near Haspres and defeated. Orders came from Paris to abandon Lille, which was evacuated on 24 August, and the 82nd Territorial Division formed a line from La Bassée to Corbehem, with the 81st Territorial Division forming a line from Aire to the sea. The 6th group of reserve divisions were sent from Paris, increasing Damade's force to 6 divisions, to hold a 70-mile line from Douai to Bethune, Aire to the sea, with another 25,000 troops of the Lille garrison. On 25 August, the German Second Corps advanced westwards through Dinant, to get behind the left flank of the BEF, and after dark reached the vicinity of Cambrai, where rearguards of the 84th Territorial Division defended the Sensee Canal at Bouchon, against a German attempt to cross. During 26 August, the division slowly retreated west of Cambrai. Group Ebener arrived at Marcoing and were then ordered by Joffre to Combles and Péronne, to become part of the Sixth Army. The divisions retreated westwards, covered by the 84th Territorial Division, in actions which diverted part of the German Second Corps from the BEF during the Battle of Le Cateau. Action of Mesnil. Early on 28 August, the 2 reserve divisions advanced from Bapaume and took the German 2nd Cavalry Corps by surprise, in its billets around Péronne. The action continued into the next day, and the French divisions were then driven back from Manencourt, southwest of Bapaume, by elements of 2nd Corps and the 4th Reserve Corps. Further to the east, the French 2nd Cavalry Corps on the left of the BEF failed to prevent the Germans from reaching the outskirts of Péronne on the evening of 27 August. The cavalry withdrew south of the Somme, and next day Péronne was captured. The German advance continued towards Amiens, and on 29 August, the 6th Army counter-attacked the German advance guards, which had reached Bray-sur-Somme, Chouignolis and Frémeville near Amiens. A Moroccan chasseur brigade, the 14th Division of 7th Corps, the 45th and 55th Battalions of Chasseurs and the 55th Division on the right flank near Nezela, captured Proyet as the 4 territorial divisions advanced on Amiens. During the evening, a German counter-attack retook Proyet and forced the French towards the south. The territorial divisions retreated from Amiens on 30 August, skirmishing with German patrols near Cagny. On the 11th of September, the German garrison withdrew from Amiens, and next day the territorial divisions arrived from Rouen and captured a few stragglers. The territorial divisions advanced to the northeast towards Péronne and Fricourt on 17 September. Prelude. German offensive preparations. General Erich von Falkenhayn replaced Colonel General Helmut von Moltke as chief of the German General Staff on 14 September, when the German front in France was being consolidated in Lorraine and on the Aisne, the open western flank beyond the First Army, and the danger of attacks from Antwerp, where the siege of Antwerp had begun on 20 August. Created a dilemma in which the German positions in France had to be maintained, when only offensive operations could lead to decisive victory. Appeals for the reinforcement of the Eastern Front could not be ignored, and Falkenhayn cancelled a plan for the 6th Army to break through near Verdun, and ordered that it move across France, to the right wing of the German armies. The flank of First Army was at Compiègne, beyond which there were no German forces until Antwerp. Falkenhayn could reinforce the First Army with the 6th Army, send it to Antwerp, or divide the army by reinforcing the First Army and the Antwerp siege with part of the army, while the rest operated in the area between. Falkenhayn chose to move the 6th Army to Malberge and outflank the Franco-British left wing, withdrawing the 1st, 7th and 2nd Armies to La Fère, Laon and Reims, while the 6th Army was redeploying. The 3rd, 4th and 5th Armies were to defend if the French attacked, and attack to the southwest beginning on 18 September. General Karl von Bülow and Colonel Tappin of the Operations Branch of the Oberste Heeresleitung objected because the time needed to move the 6th Army would concede the initiative to the French. Bülow and Tappin recommended an attack by the 1st and 7th Armies, with reinforcements from the armies to the east for an offensive from Reims to Fiume and Soissons. Since the French could redeploy troops on undamaged railways, the risk of separating the 1st and 2nd Armies again would be avoided. Falkenhayn agreed and ordered the 6th Army to assemble at St. Quentin. Attacks to encircle Verdun from the south and from Soissons to Reims would pin down French troops. On 21 September, Falkenhayn met Bülow and agreed that the 6th Army should concentrate close to Amiens, attack towards the Channel coast, and then envelop the French south of the Somme in Schlacht und Scheidung. The 21st Corps, which had moved from Lunéville on 15 September, and the 1st Bavarian Corps, which marched from Namur, arrived during 24 September, but were diverted against the 2nd Army as soon as they arrived on 24 September. To extend the front northwards from Chaulnes to Péronne, to attack the French bridgehead and drive the French back over the Somme. French offensive preparations. French attempts to advance after the German retirement to the Aisne were frustrated after 14 September, when German troops were discovered to have stopped their retirement and dug in on the north bank of the Aisne. Joffre ordered that the German 1st and 2nd Armies be attacked, but attempts by the 5th, 9th and 6th Armies to advance from 15–16 September had little success. French military intelligence reported German troop movements from east to west, which led Joffre to continue moving French troops from the east, which had begun on 2 September with 4th Corps and continued on 9 September with 20th Corps, the 11th of September with 13th Corps and 14th Corps on 18 September. The depletion of the French forces in the east took place just before a German offensive on the 20th of September, against the Third Army on either side of Verdun, the Fifth Army north of Reims and the Sixth Army along the Aisne, which ended with the creation of the Saint-Mihiel salient at the Battle of Fleury. Joffre maintained the French emphasis on the western flank, after receiving intercepted wireless messages, which showed that the Germans were moving an army to the western flank. Joffre continued to send units to the Second Army, north of the Sixth Army. On the 24th of September, the Second Army was attacked and found difficulty in holding ground, rather than advancing round the German flank as intended. Foch ordered the left flank of the French armies to move northward to Arras, Lens and Lille, to recreate a threat to the German northern flank by moving through Arras to Cambrai and Le Cateau and from Lens on Valenciennes and Maubeuge. If the French occupied the area between Cambrai, Valenciennes, Maubeuge and Le Cateau, the German forces on the upper Somme, Oise and the Aisne would have lost the use of the two main railways to Liege, although this would not be decisive, since the line from Laon to Verdun, Herson, Charleroi, Namur and Liege, and that from Laon to Mézières and Montmedy to either Luxembourg and Treves or Thionville and Metz would still be available to the Germans. French moves to the north were also influenced by events in the Siege of Antwerp, where Termonde fell on the 26th of September and increased the danger that the city and the Belgian army would be lost. The new 10th Army was ordered to concentrate around Arras and Lens. First Battle of Picardy on the 18th of September. The 6th Army advance was stopped on a southeast to northwest line at Carlepont on the south bank of the Oise and Noyon on the north bank, which ended the first French outflanking move. Joffre dissolved the Second Army in Lorraine and sent Castelnau and the Second Army headquarters to the north of the Sixth Army, to take over the 4th and 13th Corps, along with the 1st, 5th, 8th and 10th Cavalry Divisions of the French 2nd Cavalry Corps from the 6th Army. 14th Corps was transferred from the 1st Army and 20th Corps from the original 2nd Army, to assemble south of Amiens, with a screen of the 81st, 82nd, 84th and 88th Territorial Divisions, protecting French communications. The Second Army prepared to begin an advance on the 22nd of September, on a line from Lausigny north to Royam-Chaulnes around the German flank. Next day the Corps joined the right flank of the First Army, for an attack to the southwest with the 4th Corps, 9th Reserve Corps and the 4th and 7th Cavalry Divisions. The Second Army commander Bülow ordered Kluck, the First Army commander, to cancel the offensive and withdraw the two corps behind the right flank of the First Army. On the 16th of September, the 2nd and 9th Cavalry Divisions were dispatched from the Aisne front as reinforcements, but before the retirement began, the French 13th and 4th Corps on the left flank of 6th Army, with the 61st and 62nd Divisions of the 6th Group of Reserve Divisions, began to advance along the Oise and met the right flank of the First Army between Carlepont and Noyon. On the 17th of September, the First Battle of Picardy was the first of the reciprocal outflanking attempts by the French and German armies after the First Battle of the Aisne resulted in an encounter battle in Picardy. The French 6th Army attacked up the Oise River valley towards Noyon, as the Second Army assembled further north, ready to attempt to advance round the northern flank of the German First Army. The Second Army crossed the Avre on a line from Lausigny northwards to Royam-Chaulnes, but met the German Second Corps from the First Army, that had arrived from the Aisne front, where new entrenchments had enabled fewer men to garrison the front line. The Corps moved into line on 19 September, on the right flank of the 9th Reserve Corps. Despite the assistance of 4 divisions of the 2nd Cavalry Corps, the Germans were pushed back to a line from Ribecourt to Lausigny and Roye, which menaced German communications through Ham and St. Quentin. On the 21st of September, the German 18th Corps had begun a 50 miles force march from Reims and had reached Ham on the evening of the 23rd of September. On the 24th of September, the Corps attacked towards Royan, with 2nd Corps forced back the French 4th Corps of the 6th Army. To the north, the Second Army reached Péronne and formed a bridgehead on the east bank of the Somme, which exhausted the offensive capacity of the Second Army. Joffre sent the 11th Corps, which was the last French reserve, to the Second Army and began to withdraw 3 more corps for dispatch to the Second Army. On the 25th of September, a German attack near Noyon pushed back the Second Army. French reinforcements attacked again, and from 25 to 27 September, a general action took place along the western front from the Vosges to Péronne, after which the main effort of both sides took place further north. Battle. 25 to 29 September. The offensive by the French Second Army forced Falkenhayn to divert the 21 and 1st Bavarian Corps as soon as they arrived, to extend the front northwards from Chaulnes to Péronne on the 24th of September and drive the French back over the Somme. Overcrowded and damaged railways behind the German front slowed the transit of German forces, and infantry marched from Namur and Cambrai. On the 25th of September, the German reinforcements attacked, crossed the Somme south of Péronne and then advanced to take a bridge between Hem and Fourrières. When a French attack north of the Somme against the 2nd Bavarian Corps forced a hurried withdrawal. As more Bavarian units arrived in the north, the 3rd Bavarian Division advanced along the north bank, through Bouchavans, La Forest and Hardecourt until held up at Maricourt. The 4th Bavarian Division further to the north, defeated the French territorials and then attacked westwards towards Albert, through Sailly, Combles, Guillemont and Montauban. On the 27th of September, the 2nd Cavalry Corps drove back the 61st and 62nd Reserve Divisions of General Joseph Brewer, to make way for the 14th Reserve Corps to link with the right flank of the 2nd Bavarian Corps, ready for an attack towards Albert. The French subdivision d'Armée began to assemble at Arras, and the commander, General Louis de Mordy, found that instead of making another attempt to get round the German flank, the subdivision was menaced by a German offensive. The 2 Bavarian and 14th Reserve Corps pushed back a French territorial division from the area around Bapaume and advanced towards Bray-sur-Somme in Albert, as part of the offensive down the Somme valley to reach the sea. The German offensive was confronted north of the Somme by the French 21st and 10th Corps and by the 81st, 82nd, 84th and 88th Territorial Divisions under Brewer further north, and the 1st, 3rd, 5th and 10th Cavalry Divisions of the 2nd Cavalry Corps, east of Albert. The 14th Reserve Corps attacked on the 28th of September, along the Roman road from Bapaume to Albert and Amiens, intending to reach the Ancre and then continue westwards along the Somme valley. The 28th Reserve Division advanced close to Fricourt, against scattered resistance from French infantry and cavalry. On the 28th of September, the French were able to stop the German advance on a line from Maricourt to Fricourt and Thiepval. The German 2nd Cavalry Corps moved northwards and was held up in the vicinity of Arras by the French 2nd Cavalry Corps. On the 29th of September, the 28th Reserve Division attacked Fricourt and captured the village, but was prevented by French small arms and artillery fire from advancing beyond. North of the road, the 26th Reserve Division advance was also stopped by the French. Next day, French units counterattacked several times and almost recaptured Fricourt. A lull in the fighting occurred overnight, and then both sides began to dig in haphazardly, where the opposing lines had stopped moving, which was not always on easily defended ground. At Maricourt, about 5 kilometers to the south, the German advance had been stopped short of the village. North of the road, the 26th Reserve Division fought to capture the high ground of Bazentin Ridge, which overlooked the Ancre Valley, but instead of rolling up the French northern flank, was endangered by a reciprocal French attack. Joffre added 10th Corps, 20 miles north of Amiens, the 2nd Cavalry Corps, southeast of Arras, and a provisional corps under General Victor d'Urbal, which had the 77th Reserve Division southeast of Arras and the 70th Reserve Division in Lens, to the subdivision which was renamed the 10th Army, to make another outflanking move near Arras.